Okay, hello North Tahoe High students. Today in one of our first videos, and man, you're going to watch a lot, we are going to learn how to use Google Spreadsheets to make a scatter plot. It helps visually. A picture's worth 1,000 words, so seeing data kind of in a picture or in a graph or a plot lets us see the connection a lot easier than just seeing them as a list of numbers. Super easy to do, and it's super useful all the way through high school, through college, through the sciences, social sciences, accounting and business. Spreadsheets are something everyone needs to know how to do. So we're going to use your Google account. Hopefully you have your ttusd.org email address. If you don't, that's okay, it'll work. But what you're going to need to do is go to Google, and you'll see up here where it says sign in. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. I got a lot of accounts, so I'm going to sign in to one and show you how to work it. Okay, I've signed in now. I know I'm signed in because if I look up here, my email address is there. And I'm going to look at this little 9 cube thing here, my apps, and I'm going to pull down there, and I want to go to Drive. So we'll pull up Drive. Here's my Drive, my label's over here. And I'm going to create a spreadsheet. So I'm going to create and go down here to spreadsheet. We'll also make a lot of documents. In fact, we'll put graphs from our spreadsheet into documents. But we're just going to work with the spreadsheet for right now. So spreadsheet. It pulls up a rather uninteresting grid. But again, it's really, really useful. So one of the first things I want to do when I'm working on this is I want to give it a name that's meaningful. And typically, since we're going to be turning a lot of these things in electronically, I'm going to put my name and maybe the assignment also. So the assignment for this one, I'm going to make up some data to show you. I'm going to call it plant growth. Can't spell today. Okay. So imagine this experiment. You'll do a lot of different experiments in both chemistry and physics with me, and very often we're going to need to plot the data in order to find some connections between the variables that we've measured. So this would be like a real elementary experiment. I think I did this once in elementary school. I measured how much a plant grew in centimeters every day. So one of the things I recorded was time. So I'm going to put time, a label in that first A column, and I'm going to put it's days. And every day I measured how much it grew. So I'll put growth in the second column. And I measured it in centimeters. Right? So I'm just going to quickly put in some data here. When I first started the experiment, I didn't grow any. So at time equals 0, I recorded, hey, it didn't grow at all. After one day, maybe the plant grew 1.9 centimeters. After 2 days, the plant grew, oh, I don't know, 4.1 centimeters. Okay, so I took a break and populated these. 3 days in, the plant is 6.1 centimeters tall. 4 days in, it's 8.2. In 5 days, the end of my experiment, it is 10.5 centimeters tall. So that's my data. In math, when we plot things, we usually kind of learn in Algebra 1 as an X and a Y. Well, this is the way the spreadsheet program learns too. By default, whatever numbers I put in the first column, so column A, will be plotted on the horizontal axis. So that's like the X coordinate. That's this way, horizontal. And also by default, whatever's plotted in the following columns will be plotted on the vertical axis. So these are the Y coordinates. So this way. So here's X and Y. X1, Y1, X2, Y2, so on and so forth. So let's plot it, show you how easy it is. I'm just going to highlight the data, and I'm going to go to Insert a Chart. There's a lot of charts to choose from, but almost always in science class we're going to be using the scatter plot. So we'll put scatter plot there, and bam, there it is. We're almost done. I'm going to go ahead and hit Insert. Now, at this point, I see all the data here. This would be fine for math class maybe because you're just dealing with numbers without meaning, 1.5 and 3. But remember, these were measurements, and that's the essence of science, is that we relate measurements. So one of the things we're going to need to do is we're going to have to label these numbers. What's the meaning for the reader? And that's simple. Up here in this little arrow, you'll get a drop-down menu. We're going to do Advanced Edit. The first thing we'll do, well, let's go ahead and give it a title that's meaningful. We'll call it plant growth versus days. And if I hit enter, there he goes. Voila. Now, the axes labeling here, we scroll down a little bit, here's axis. Horizontal, so that's this one right here. That's the x-coordinate, or the x-axis. If you remember, the meaning of these numbers was time. And the unit of time, I wasn't measuring 1.5, 3, 4.5, and 6 seconds. Those were days that show up there. So we're going to put days. We don't need to adjust the range, although sometimes we might, so we'll leave those blank. And we'll do update. So there, let's put that axis down in there. I want to put in the y coordinate, or a label for the y as well. So again, I'm going to go to Advanced Edit and scroll down to Axis. Change it this time to the vertical axis. That's this one. And if you remember here, that represented a measurement of growth. And the unit was centimeters. We weren't inches. We were talking about how many miles something grew. It was centimeters. So again, we'll hit update. And there we are. So we're almost done here with this. I'm going to move this out of the way and show you one last very, very useful thing to do. So it's a line. That's a linear. And very often in introductory science classes, we're going to find linear relationships between variables. So oftentimes the slope could be meaningful. And remember, the slope is rise over run. So if I think about these as measurements, the rise is measured in centimeters, or growth. The run is in days. So the slope has meaning in this case, the rise of centimeters over the run per day. So we would say it's centimeters per day. So if I can find the value of that slope, I know on average how many centimeters a day this plant grew. Watch how simple it is with a spreadsheet. In some open cell, I'm just going to hit equals. That's telling the spreadsheet that I want to use a function. I want to use some data in a calculation. And I'm going to write slope. It figures out what I want. I just put in SL, and I'm going to go down here to slope. And this is the order it wants it in. It wants Y data first. So the Y data is this. Highlight that. That's it. Put a comma, and it wants X data second. Highlight that, and close it off with the bracket. Hit enter, and there it is. The slope is a little over 2. And has meaning in this case. 2 centimeters per day is about what this thing grew. So the slope's going to be really, really meaningful for us.